everybody, it's Haas once again, Glamis Rescue. So today I'm going to be working on a set of Fox 2.5 triple bypass. They're 14 stroke. Customer doesn't say that they're leaking out or nothing. Same thing, he's just trying to get his car ready for Glamis season coming up. So hopefully they're just going to be a simple service. So I will start tearing it apart. They're not horribly on the outside, but I'm just going to wipe them down. Same thing, try to keep my hands as clean as possible. So here we go. Once again, Fox 2.5 inch diameter triple bypass 14 strokes. Here we go. Alright, so basically I gave the shocks just a quick wipe down, nothing major. So things you got to do. First off, the little set screw, which is just a small little Allen. I believe it's a 3/64. And then, using my rear end tool, which are those holes, that one and that one. Those are 1/4 inch. So I will just put in my rear end tool, loosen it, thread all the way out. And then on the bypass tubes, I pull the bypass tubes out all the way. So on these shocks, the nuts are 9/16. Alright. So I'll loosen them up. So I'll break them free. And then once I have it broken free, then I will use a 3/16 Allen. Alright. Trying to do this one-handed. There we go. And then basically, I'll just run the tube out. The reason I do that is I want to make sure that I compress that tube as much as possible so I can get all the old oil out of the actual cylinders, out of the valves. And then also when it comes to refilling, I feel it's much easier to get the air bubbles out that way. So that's just kind of my trick. Like I always tell you guys, I never claim to do it perfectly or to do it exactly as the manufacturer says. I just do it based off of what I've been doing for many, many years and how comfortable I am doing it. So, but basically that's it. So I'm going to do that. Well, and then let's just show you this part. Alright, we'll show the gland. So on these, the main cap is just the main cap, dust seal, and then the gland is in there. And look, you can see how cruddy it is. Alright, so yeah, they're going to be a little dirty inside. I'm already feeling that one out. But I'm going to let the nitrogen out. So now I can take the C-clip out and then push down on the main cap, or on the gland. So I'm going to push down with my fingers. And then, and then I'll pull the shaft out and get oil out and all the rest. All right, here we go. All right, all the bypass tubes are out. Remove the top cap, as you guys seen. Pulled out the C-clip. Now the gland comes out, and you can tell they're not horrible, but they definitely need a service, and they are stinky. They smell. So I'll drain this guy out. Customer just requested to use Fox Red. It's the same thing. Not a big deal. Come over here. Put it on my pig pad. Here's a trick that I do. So since I do a lot of shocks, right? I use my old pig pad from the previous build to put my dirty stuff, and then I'll transfer it over to the new pig pad once it's all nice and clean. I don't know, that's kind of just my thing. But alright, so it's all out. I'm gonna empty out the oil. Oil's junk, it's gonna get thrown away. And then take apart the reservoir. So I'm gonna pull the main cap from the bottom because it's upside down right now. And then I will pull it off the piggyback, right, to fix. So they're just C-clips, and then they just come out. Oh, and one hose clamp. There's a hose clamp right here. So that's next. Reservoir disassembly. Okay, so reservoirs disassembled. Not horrible. I mean, definitely needs service, but I've seen a lot worse. Main cap's just dirty, really. Right? It's a little dry on the nitrogen side. Remember, the dividing piston, right, divides the oil side and the nitrogen side. On the nitrogen side, these were rebuilt at some point. Nobody ever put lubricant, so definitely on the nitrogen side of the dividing piston. So when the dividing piston goes like this, right, inside, remember the easiest way is you got to be able to get to the 1/4-20 nut or hole to be able to pull the dividing piston out. So when the dividing piston gets installed, just squirt a little bit of shock oil on top, like not even an ounce, half an ounce, right? Just that little bit of lubrication. See how dry it is on one side? Get this way, right? See how dry it is on one side, and nice and lubricated on the other, right? You never want it to be dry. You know, it's still sliding in there, so a little lubrication goes a long way. Anyways, okay, so now, next thing, I'm going to pull the bypass valves out. So, 1, 2, 3, right? And I want to say they are, I believe, 13/16, and then they just come right out. So, I'll loosen one up and then show you guys. So, bypass valves next. Alrighty, so bypass valves. I already loosened them out. I already took 2 of them. But basically, they just unthread and they come out. Okay. Inside this one is still the spring and the actual stopper, closer, whatever you want to call it. And here's kind of the assembly. That's how they look like. And now these are older style Fox. Okay, so you know, things have changed and progressed. So some parts might look different, especially if you have newer style Foxes, especially the like the UTV Foxes. They use a lot of not plastic, composite materials, right? But basically, on the bypass, right, what we're going to change out is those seals right there. And then there's a spring, and then what I call the stopper, closer, whatever. And if you really want to get crazy with your shocks, you can actually change out these springs to a softer or harder spring, which will actually open and close your bypasses through smoother things or harsher things. So you can't even tune a bypass valve if you really want to go crazy and just try stuff with your shocks. So, alright, so everything's apart. Shock is, oh, I'm going to disassemble the shaft. And again, the gland, you can see the gland, it's not in the best of shape, right? So I can get to the seals, change all that out. So I'm going to disassemble the shaft next, right? Okay, shock shaft. So it's just a 3/4 nut. I already loosened it. Comes right off. Put it over on my pig pad. I'm not revalving the shocks in any way, shape, or form. So in this location, this setup, rebound valving is on top. Compression valving is on the bottom. But again, I'm not going to revalve anything. So I'm going to grab the entire assembly. Just come back, put it on my pig pad. I'll clean it up and all that. Dual spacers, nothing fancy about the spacers, just straight spacers. Yeah. And then the gland. And in here is all the seals. So there's going to be, there's an external O-ring seal that you just pick out. And then there's 2 internal seals. There's the pressure seal, and then there is another O-ring inside. So clean this up, clean it up, and then finally the main cap. And there is the dust seal. That's the seal that takes out all the big particulate. So, alright, now time to change seals. Okay, so all the seals have been changed out. Laid everything out on the clean pig pad. So now it's just reverse. So I'm going to assemble the shock shaft. Alright. And then put the body back together, reinstall the reservoir, put all the bypass valves in it. And then next thing I'll show you guys is, you know, levels. Oh, and the dividing piston. On these I'll show you guys how I set the dividing piston. Alright? Alrighty, so I went ahead and I assembled the body. So I reassembled the reservoir, put the bypass valves back in, torqued everything, And then I went ahead and I already started the filling process. So I filled it up to the level. So basically make sure on a bypass, okay? I fill it to about here. The reasoning is, see how every entry, the reservoir, rebound, compressions, right? All those, I fill it to about here because there's air in them. So basically, I grab the shock, I put a glove on, and then I cap it, and then I take it off the vise, and if this were the shock, I invert it, right? But on a bypass, I hold the inversion. And you can literally feel the air bubbles, blah, 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 like on your hand. And I keep doing that until I no longer feel air bubbles. So on this one, I kept feeling it after like 8 inversions. And again, I keep the inversion, or I keep the shock, right, inverted, for like maybe 10 seconds. And I kept feeling air bubbles. So I put it back on the vise. I looked at my oil level. And my oil level had gone from here to about here. So I added more oil, and then I started the inversion process again, until I no longer felt those little air bubbles on the palm of my hand. So now I'm comfortable that I got all the air bubbles out of the bypass valves, out of the connecting tube to the reservoir, out of everything. So now, time to install the shaft, and then I still always keep a little spare, right, fluid on hand, so when I install the shaft, if I need a little bit more oil, I can just simply squeeze it in. And on these Foxes, it's got a weep groove. So you see that groove right there? Right? So again, the shaft's going to go in this way. So as it gets inserted, okay, the weep groove, the oil is going to start, if I overfilled it, right, the oil is going to start coming out of here as I insert the shaft. So that's a good design, I feel, that Fox put into these. And then on bypasses, on the wiper, I don't know if you can see the wiper. The wiper, basically, it's a connection point right there, right? I'll try to get it here. So the connection point right there. I set that connection point away from any one of these internal holes, from that one, that one, that one. So basically, when I insert the shaft, I make sure the connection point is facing that way, not that way. Maybe I overguess things or overthink things, but I'm always fearful that possibly that connection point will can open up or something, get caught in one of those holes, and then damage it. So I'm sure I overthink things, but that's the way I am. So time to install the shaft and add nitrogen next. That's it, that quick. Okay, so I just want to show you guys really quick. Well, my weep groove is here, right? And as I was filling it in, as I was installing the shaft, it started to weep out. So you see all the oil dribbling down the body of the shock. I'm 100% okay with that, because that means that it's at proper level. So now I'm just going to go ahead and, with my fingers, press down as hard as I possibly can to put the gland in, which will basically push oil into the reservoir, or apply pressure to the reservoir dividing piston, which will push that down. So having said that, I have not installed my Schrader valve in my main cap. It's still open. But time to push the gland in so I can put my C-clip in, clean up the outside body of the shock, install the Schrader valve, and then put nitrogen in the shock to 150 psi. That quick. Alrighty, so I went ahead. You can see how I pushed the gland down. I installed my snap ring. I know it's in the groove. I connected my regulator, my nitrogen tool. And now just time to pressurize it. Here we go. Alright, so I'll wait till it hits 150 psi on my gauge. Right, that means it's equalized. And then I'll go ahead and pull the plunger apart. So now I'm no longer putting pressure on the Schrader valve. Shut this, right? Shut my valve off, and that's it. That's how quickly you fill the shocks with nitrogen. So now, put my cap on, tighten everything up, put my safety marks on it, clean it all up, and that's how quickly you rebuild a bypass, guys. I'll come back for final thoughts. Alright, we are done. So there you guys have it. That's how you rebuild a Fox 2.5-inch triple bypass piggyback reservoir shock. So I hope these videos are helpful to you guys. I'm just trying to share my knowledge, which I feel is good knowledge. This is how I make a living. So please share this video. Definitely like it, and the most important thing is subscribe to the video, please. I need 100 subscribers for YouTube to open my account so I can keep posting more. So please, 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 I can't ask you for that giant favor. Share it so more people can see this information. Like it, but please subscribe to my channel. And if there's any shocks you guys want to see, comment down below. If you guys get stuck in the middle of a rebuild, send me a message. I'll do my best to try to reply as quickly as I possibly can. And the most important thing, this is my life motto, is I tell everybody that I always can, is if anybody can do it, I can do it, you can do it. Shocks are not difficult, guys. Don't be afraid of them. Alright? Thank you guys so much. I am Haas with Glamis Rescue. Glamis season's coming up, so I'll see everybody out there, and have a great day.